Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. In today's case, a military dad asked the court for child support reduction, claiming visitation travel is breaking his budget. But the mother says she's already doing all the heavy lifting and refuses to take on his share too. Let's see how the court navigates this custody clash over finances and family ties.
All right, this time, court's going to go ahead and call Bell County cause number 273,340-D. This is in the interest of Johnson minor child, non-custodial party being Andre D. Johnson, custodial party being Lisa R. Johnson. And this matter is before the court on a non-agreed to child support review order review at this time. The court will know for the record that both parties signed the agreements to appear to court today, that Ms. Johnson is present with counsel, Dr. Gant, and Mr. Johnson, you are pro se. In other words, sir, you're representing yourself. You don't have a lawyer, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, Dan. And the state is being represented by Mr. Welch. Anyway, at this time, I'll ask for an opening from Mr. Welch to tell the court what the state's requesting we do here. Again, this is a non-agreed to child support review order, so that's pretty straightforward, cut and dry, that there was an order that the state feels is appropriate, and obviously one of the parties does not, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But I'll go ahead and let the state tell the court what you understand the agreements and contests to be, and then I'll ask for an opening statement from Dr. Gant. Mr. Johnson, I don't let pro se litigants make opening statements. They don't do it right. They make closing arguments. But at the end of the hearing, sir, if there's anything you want to make as far as a closing argument or a closing statement, I'll allow you to do so at that time. But at this time, I just want the lawyers to tell me what I'm looking at having to deal with today. So at this time, Mr. Welch, you're up. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the state understands that that there's only one disagreement, and that is regarding travel expenses, Your Honor. So I understand that Mr. Johnson would like to deviate from what the order has as the current guideline child support, 300 and let's see, yeah, $966 per month beginning. So he would like to have travel expenses deducted on that, but Ms. Johnson is opposed to that. The parties do agree to a few changes to the order besides that dispute. It seemed like the order that we had filed there was incorrect on the amount of arrearages as of that date, that November date that's shown on there. Turned out to be in future pay. So, Your Honor, the parties agreed to finally confirm that he is paid ahead in future pay of $325 as of yesterday, January 13, 2025. And I think all parties would agree that that amount could be carried forward and applied to the future obligations in this case. Parties agree on and then as part of that, Your Honor, as our system doesn't do too well with having obligations starting before a judgment date, the original order that was filed had obligations starting in 1st of January, probably because the CSRP was done back in December. So parties agreed to change that to 1st of February 2025. And then besides that, Your Honor, everything else is agreed to. The health insurance through Mr. Johnson's TRICARE, so he understands that he is active duty military. Dental insurance through TRICARE. His health insurance through TRICARE is the actual cost of $0. Dental insurance, actual cost of $12.50. And no non-disclosure. And court costs are waived due to his military service.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Gant.
Well, again, we're going to ignore the mispronunciation.
Yeah, well, I'm doing that in honor of my recent retiree. I know exactly what I'm doing, Mr. Gaunt. But yeah, but now that I no longer have a Judge Gant, I thought I'd just go that route today.
Well, I was only an ALJ and it was a long time ago. But anyway, all right. Good morning, Your Honor. And again, I think what the state has presented is accurate. Our position is just this, that, that the offset isn't necessary. My client will testify to a couple of things that have happened throughout this relationship. I think she's been more than accommodating. And while I certainly understand, especially from a Navy family and a Navy guy myself, that we like to try to help these service members out. We don't think in this case that that's warranted, and you'll hear a little bit as to why that is. Uh, as far as we're concerned, guideline child support is guideline child support, and that's just kind of where we need to be. I would be remiss in my duties if I didn't address to the court that although we filed an appearance and we filed a counter petition, I think my client wants to get this done today. I've spoken to Mr. Welch, and it seems like, given that Mr. Johnson is a service member, the numbers are pretty much what they are. It's not like when we have these private pro ses where we wonder what's really going on. But that being said, I do have to ask for attorney's fees in this matter.
All right, then let's go ahead and let's get some testimony and let's figure this one out. And again, the court does have the right, Mr. Johnson, to grant some form of deviation if the court feels it's necessary, and based on possible travel expenses going forward, but not a terrible amount. That's not my standard. But I will let everyone know, I do need to know that there's a history of that taking place, and this is just not something that's just come up for the first time now. But anyway, I'll go ahead and let's find out what everybody has to say about this, and we'll take it from there. So at this time, Mr. Welch, let me go ahead and swear him in, and I'll let you call your first witness. So at this time, I'll ask both parties to Mr. and Ms. Johnson, and Ms. Johnson, unmute yourself. Raise your right hands. You both solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you're going to give this court today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you.
Yes.
I do.
All right, you're both officially under oath, and the state may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Andre Johnson. What is your full name?
My name is Andre Johnson, Dion Johnson,
Where do you live?
Maryland,
And where does Ms. Johnson live?
Texas.
So, how often do you visit the child in this case?
Every summer I get her, Christmas, and I come for birthdays.
All right. And so, explain how you do visitation for the child.
So I come to the airport. Savannah gets dropped off. I fly to the airport. Savannah gets dropped off. I fly home. And over the last, I think let's say about 5 years, I have flown her back to Austin and flown myself home. In the case recently, I just began to protest to fly Savannah alone one way from where we are at the time. I've asked for assistance as far as either, meeting me in a halfway destination or her, maybe Ms. Johnson coming to pick her up from my house. There's also been times where I've asked if Savannah could fly to my house unaccompanied, and I sent her back the same way, and I've had no assistance in doing so.
All right. So how much is a ticket for you then?
A ticket for me, round trip can go from $500 to $700. Maybe more. I'm probably only including the round trip ticket, but the one ways on both end, less than $200. Would you like to be more approximate, or?
That's good enough. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And what about the ticket for the child?
The ticket for the child, so her one way is usually about $200 to $300, because about the same, plus the unaccompanied fee. And then for her usually for her, I would say about the same as my ticket, about $500 to $600. Yeah.
And so how long have you been making these trips?
It's been about maybe since she was about 5. So she's 11 now. So me flying to see her since she was 3 and flying back, I was denied taking her away for any holidays when she was younger. And then maybe within like the last 2 or 3 years, she's been flying unaccompanied.
Okay, sir, she's been flying under the company both ways at this time?
She's flown only one way from my house to Texas unaccompanied.
Okay, and is there a reason why she doesn't fly under the company to you?
I've been denied. I was told that
Object to the
um,
hearsay, and I'm now going to object to the narrative and assuming facts not in evidence.
I can
Overruled.
produce text message if
That's okay.
necessary.
I'm going to object and renew my objection now.
Overruled. Understood. But anyway, uh, I'll tell you what, sir. I'm going to sustain the objection. I'll get it from mom then. Thank you. Anyway, you may proceed at this time, Mr. Welch. We'll get that information from the mother, what those circumstances are. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, are you a member of the military?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you active duty or reserve?
Active duty, sir.
And do you like, without getting into anything confidential, are you going to be moving from Maryland to Texas anytime soon?
I've been trying since I can remember. The options are very slim due to there's no water access.
So what branch of the military are you?
I'm in the Navy. I'm in the Navy.
I kind of got that. So yeah, when you said water, okay, got it.
State would like to admit what has been marked as State's Exhibit 1 into
All right.
evidence.
All right, this is State Exhibit number 1 that shows what monies have been paid for child support in this case. Any objection is coming into evidence at this time, Mr. Gahn?
No, I don't believe so. If you'll just give me 1 second.
And Your Honor, when I sent it to Belinda, I also copied Mr. Gaunt, I believe, on
Okay.
it.
All right.
Well, what you sent me was the petition. I don't have the pay record. Is that what that is? It's a FENA
Oh no,
screen?
I didn't actually. Apologies, Mr. Gaunt. I didn't send you a copy of it. I thought I had copied you on it, but
if it's a pay screen, if it's a FENA screen, I have no objection to it.
It is. That's exactly.
It appears to be.
Yeah. All right, and it just shows that the future pay. Any objection, Mr. Johnson?
No, sir.
All
Your
right,
Honor.
State once admitted. You may proceed.
do you have anything else you would like to tell the court, Mr. Johnson?
No, not at this time.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gahn, you're a witness.
Mr. Johnson, do you receive BAH or incentive pay for having dependents?
I do.
Okay. And you also, I know you said you're on, she is on, your daughter is on TRICARE. Is it TRICARE Prime? Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
A form of TRICARE. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I know you said you're a Navy man, so I think it's my understanding that the United States Navy doesn't really keep much of a presence in Texas anymore. Do they still have a duty station in Corpus, or no, they had a training field or a training facility down there? Is that someplace you could transfer to or no?
No, sir. Due to my nature of job, I cannot go there.
Your MOS? Okay. What is your MOS?
I'm an LN, legal man.
Okay. And you mentioned a few moments ago about the traveling. I guess I should ask, you are an enlisted man, correct?
Yes, sir.
How much time do you have left on your current obligation?
Current obligation 2026.
Okay, so a year and change. Is it your intention to re-up, or have you already dropped your packet?
I haven't decided yet.
Say again, sir?
I have not decided.
Okay. And your current duty station is in Maryland, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well,
Now,
Virginia, actually. I live in Maryland. I live in Virginia.
Okay, yes,
Work
sir.
in Virginia.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine. And as I understand it, the current order does not provide for a travel incentive. Is that, or does not provide for a travel offset? Is that correct?
It does not, but I do recall it stating that the mother is,
Objection,
we, we,
non-responsive.
we,
Okay, again,
we
sir,
have,
I know there's more you want to tell me, but again, you got to listen to the question and just answer the question that was asked. Thank you.
yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so it doesn't provide for that. And I apologize, Your Honor, I don't have a copy of the order in front of me. You have traveled to see my client to see the child here in Texas, have you not? You've done that before, have you not?
Yes, sir, I have.
And it's also true that, in fact, my client has gone so far as to let you stay with her before. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you would, how many times has that happened, if you recall, sir?
Mm, maybe 3 or 4 times,
Right.
maybe
And I,
maybe more.
okay, yes, sir. And you were, was this was over spring break or over the holidays, or what was this? Do you recall?
Usually it was spring break.
Okay. So period of several days, correct?
Well, no, it was actually just birthday, so just weekends, not spring break.
Okay, so now it's your testimony that you didn't see the child over spring break.
I did not see the child over spring break that I recall. Usually it was birthdays.
Okay. Okay. But be that as it may, she has given you accommodation in her home. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that that spares you the expense of having to be in a hotel and all that so forth, correct?
Yes.
Would you also agree with me that since this order was put in place since you all divorced, I believe the child was 1 or 2 years old, is that correct?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that there have been uninsured medical expenses that you have not paid to my client?
No.
You would agree with me that the child has had at least 2 surgeries that required
Objection, Your Honor.
out of
I don't see how this is all relevant to travel expenses.
he's
I'm
at
going to sustain that one. I
Judge, I
don't.
get to answer.
Okay, well, the bottom line is I don't have anything dealing with pleadings, dealing with unreimbursed medical expenses. Obviously, that's something that can be requested, and I don't see anything for that at this time.
That's
I did not go over your pleadings that thoroughly. Was that something that you requested, Dr. Gaunt?
no, and that's exactly my point. If I can be allowed to answer the state's objection.
Go right ahead.
Well, Judge, we haven't filed an enforcement yet, but the gentleman is asking for an offset, and I think it's important for the court to know, and my client will testify to it, that there have been a couple little hiccups here and there, and he's already gotten breaks on matters that he should have been paying for, and it's ordered, and it's in the court record that he's ordered to pay these things. Now, you're right, we're not in enforcement, but if he's asking for an offset, I think it's germane to the matter at hand that he has raised.
Well, I'm going to
I
overrule
can
that
go
one.
on. I can go. I'm not intending to linger on it, but I think it's relevant.
All right, well, I'm going to overrule that one because again, if obviously there's nothing preventing you from coming back tomorrow and doing that. And for right now, I like to keep everything in its appropriate lane. And the appropriate lane right now I'm looking at is whether or not the court needs to grant a deviation based on travel. And again, there may be there's always outside factors in family cases. But for right now, I only want to deal with those that deal directly with travel. And I'll take up anything else as appropriate. Thank you. So I'm going to sustain that objection. You may proceed.
So witness, I pass witness.
All right. All right, then. Anything on redirect, Mr. Welch?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Welch, you can call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Lisa Johnson.
All right, Ms.
What is
Johnson. Okay, yeah, I'll let you go ahead and say. Go ahead and ask, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. What is your full name?
Lisa Rebecca Johnson.
What is the full name of the child in this case?
Savannah Nicole Johnson.
When was Savannah born?
March 26th of 2013.
And how old is Savannah?
Savannah is 11 years. She'll be 12 in March.
So, so how often does Mr. Johnson visit Savannah?
So it depends. He is actually from Killeen, but he joined the military like a month before she was born. So since her birth, he's lived elsewhere. He did have family. His parents lived here in Killeen up until Savannah was 5 years old. So before Savannah was 5, he would come to visit his parents, and then come in for a couple of hours here and there when he was in time to see Savannah. He did not start having Savannah on his own until Savannah was 5 years old. Not because I wouldn't allow him, but it just worked out that way that when he came to visit his parents, he would take that time to visit Savannah. And it wasn't until his parents moved when Savannah was 5 years old that we had to put something that made more sense in place. Um, and so that's when he started to take Savannah. Initially, he would take
Okay,
her because
ma'am, you
okay,
keep getting way ahead of the question, okay?
okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll go ahead and let the state, if the state wants to elaborate on that, he will. But at this point, I'll go ahead and let the state ask your next question. Thank you.
So all right, do you know how much it so how many times that Savannah actually flew from Texas here to where Mr. Johnson was living at?
So on average, 1 to 2 times a year. Every other year, he has her for Christmas, and every single year, he'll have her for about 1 to 2 weeks in the summer. Just recently, he started to come here to visit in the month of March, but that's just the last couple of years. On
Okay.
average, 1 to 2 times.
All right, just a second. I don't want to interrupt. I want to get a clarification. All right, ma'am, I understand that under the, and I hadn't gone back over your old court order, but under standard Texas order, he's entitled to 42 days in the summer. Is he only been, you said he's only been doing it for 1 to 2 weeks every summer? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And is that something that y'all worked out, or is that something that it wasn't covered in the prior order? Why only 1 to 2 weeks? What's your understanding of that, please?
I am not sure why. I do know that my daughter gets very homesick. I don't know if that's part of it. I've never objected to her staying longer. That's just
Okay,
kind of what's worked out.
okay, just wanted to see. Thank you. I was trying to see if that's by agreement or whether or not there was something else. All right, thank you. May I ask your next question, Mr. Welch?
Thank you, Your Honor. And so when Mr. Johnson visits there, comes to Texas to visit there, um, how many times, if any, does he actually stay with you?
Every single time that he has ever come here to Texas, he has stayed with me. Sometimes has been at least once over the course of a week for spring break. Savannah's birthday is at the very end of March, though, so sometimes it's just a few days, like maybe 3 or 4 days at the most.
And so how does he so for transportation for him, does he like Uber or how does he get around?
It depends. Sometimes I will go to Austin from Killeen to pick him up, and I'll take him to a car rental place. Sometimes he won't even rent a car, and then there are sometimes that he will, I guess, Uber to a car rental place while he's in Austin, and will come to Killeen with the car and get around Killeen using the. So it varies.
And have you ever flown from Texas to where he lives to bring the child?
Not to bring the child, but I have picked the child up a couple of times. Instead of him bringing her back, I have gone to pick her up on a couple of different occasions.
All right,
And
man,
so
when's the
how
last time I'm sorry, you went to Maryland, or was there another location?
It was another location. He's just recently been in Maryland, maybe the last 2 years at the very most, but he lived in Florida for a very long time. So I would fly to Florida or I would drive to Florida from Texas to pick Savannah up in the summers.
All right, I got it. Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Welch.
Thank you, Your Honor. So how much would it cost for you for if you flew, how much would it cost for a ticket for you generally?
Gosh, I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've flown, I can't give you a number because the only time I do fly is if I'm going to pick her up. And it's been a few years since I've flown to pick her up. I haven't done it since he's been in Maryland. He's been in Maryland probably about 2 years now.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Gaunt.
Ma'am, you are it's obviously the custodial parent. Is what is your, are you still living alone? Are you still unmarried?
Yes.
Okay, so you just have your income, is that correct?
Yes.
If you know or if you're aware, is Mr. Johnson, what is his marital status?
He is married.
Okay. Now, we talked for a moment about um, how much visitation he's had or exercised. Obviously, he's been active duty throughout this entire thing, has he not?
Yes, he has.
In other words, there wasn't a period of time where he was out or you got divorced and then he decided later on to get into the military. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in regards to the visitation schedule, again, I think Mr. Welch asked you, how much visitation has Mr. Johnson exercised? Has he exercised his summers? What has he done?
So he does exercise his summers, just not the full amount, not the full, month and some change. It's usually a week to 2 weeks. And then every other year he will have her for about a week for Christmas. She has never gone out
Let me
to
stop you
sea.
right there.
Okay.
Let me stop you right there. When you say a week to 2 weeks in the summer, is that all the possession he exercises, or is it kind of broken up like then he goes and takes another week at some other point? Is it just the 2 weeks?
No, it's just the 2 weeks.
Okay. Where is that exercise? Where is that? I think you answered this, but where is that exercise? Here or Maryland? I mean, his home state? Where's it exercised?
His home state, or a lot of times they'll be visiting his family in another state someplace.
And I think you testified to this at one point. Have you, when we do these, you said have not flown out before. Have you driven out there before or gotten out there before to do these exchanges?
I have flown and I have also driven out to Florida to pick
Okay.
Savannah up.
Have you driven or flown out to Maryland?
No, I have not.
Okay, so you said he's been out there about 2 years, is that right?
About, yeah.
Okay, so for this conversation, the last 2 years or so, the visitations have involved an airport.
Yes.
And again, when you're doing that, the jet travel, are you flying and are you buying the return flight and splitting the expenses, or how does that work?
Both times I drove back to Florida. So one time I drove out there to get her, and then I drove back, and then a different time, I flew out there, paid for a rental car. My car's older. I didn't trust it anymore at that point, and me and Savannah drove back
The last time you did that,
right before he moved from Florida. So maybe
sometime in the last,
like 2 years ago.
okay, just sometime in the last 2.5, 3 years. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, ma'am, I know we talked for a moment before we came into court. Let me ask you this: what you understand? You heard the state's comments about we're asking for guideline child support and medical support and all that, and you're fine with all that. Is that correct?
I am, yes.
In other words, you're not disputing any of that issue, right?
No.
Okay. So the only issue, as I understand it, then, is that again, Mr. Johnson is asking for some sort of a break because he has to travel. Is that right?
Yes, that's how I understand it.
Right. And your position, can you tell the court what is your position on that?
I don't agree. I think that he has a break in that he doesn't fly, her out for spring break. Instead, he comes here and he stays in my house for a week for free. There are times that I go to pick her up. It's happened on a couple of different occasions, so I don't think that he should get a break every month when there are times where I'm doing whatever I need to help him. So I feel like he's already getting a break in those situations. Also, Thanksgiving, on the years that he doesn't have her for Thanksgiving, he should have her. I'm sorry, on the years he doesn't have her for Christmas, he should have her for the week of Thanksgiving, which he's never exercised either. So anytime he doesn't exercise his right to visitation, I'm paying $100+ for childcare now. So that's an added expense that I have to, foot the bill for. And there's several times, he doesn't exercise the full month in the summer. He doesn't exercise spring break. He doesn't exercise Thanksgiving every other year. And so all of these different times I'm paying for extra childcare now that I otherwise wouldn't be having to pay for. So on top of that, and the fact that I go out to pick her up sometimes, and sometimes he comes here and I open up my home to him, I just don't think that it's warranted that we allow him to have a break every single month for travel expenses.
Is there anything else you want to tell the court this time?
No, I mean, I know that you guys, you say it's not relevant, but I do just want to also note that she has TRICARE Select, which means that,
All right, I got
uh,
it. Okay.
okay, I
So,
pay a lot out of pocket
okay.
for medical expenses. I
All right,
do.
we're gonna go back to Dan in a moment then about it because he thought that he testified he thought it was prime.
It's
Uh,
not.
yeah, okay. 'Cause, yeah, I had TRICARE prime to my last year of law school. Okay, I know how it works. Okay, so all right, yeah. Well, we'll go back to that in just a moment. Then when I'll have Dan brought back and confirm that. All right, thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Gahn.
Is there anything else you want to tell the court?
No.
Okay, all right, that's all I have. Pass with.
All right, anything on recross redirect? I'm sorry.
Actually, I do have
Mr.
one other
Welch.
thing. I do have one other thing. I apologize.
Okay.
Ms. Johnson, you and I have spoken this morning, and it's my understanding that you did want us to proceed on this matter. We have a continuance on file because we just got hired, but you are asking us to proceed in this case today. Is that correct?
I would like to. I mean, I'm not asking for anything crazy, just for the law to be the law and just that to be it. And it's frustrating to even have to like hire a lawyer and have to go through all of this just for like the law to stand as it is. It's just frustrating. It's
All right, that's all I
stressful.
got. That's all I have, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, anything on redirect, Mr. Welch?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then. Mr. Johnson, the mom just testified that you have TRICARE Select. Is the reason you don't have Prime, or did you know that you did not have Prime, sir? What are those circumstances?
So those circumstances, Lisa requested. I think I know Prime. She requested the standard due to she used to work for the Savannah's doctor, so it was easier to get access that way, and she can kind of control the doctor flow. And since she's a nurse, she didn't want to go on base, right?
Okay.
Another I would also like to add about medical expenses. She's never requested any
Okay,
money.
okay, sir. We got that part already. I'm just trying to get
Okay,
to the TRICARE. All right, you're currently married, correct?
correct.
You have any other children?
No.
All right, then. Is your current spouse military also?
Yes.
Okay, so she has her own TRICARE.
Yes.
All right. Does she have Prime?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'm actually unsure. I'm gonna be honest. I'm unsure.
All right. Do you know how much extra each month it'll cost you if I was to order you to get Prime, sir? Well, that's my standard user. So yeah.
If it were, I think it cost me an extra $32. I'm not actually unsure. I think it's a little extra for the standard versus the Prime is free.
Okay. The standard's free. The Prime costs you the extra 32.
Okay.
Is that it or the other way around? Say Prime costs 32 extra a month, sir. You think right around that amount? Sorry, Mr. Johnson, do you hear me?
Oh, I'm
Oh,
here. I thought you were talking to someone else. I'm sorry.
No, I saw you. So the Prime is 32 and the standard is free.
This Prime is. I'm unsure how it works. I think the standard, on my mind, I always remember the standard. It's 32, and Prime is what we get in the military. That
Right.
was always my understanding.
Okay, but yeah, but the Prime transfers to dependents also, sir. So that's not okay. But if I was to order you to go ahead and get Prime that and cover your daughter with the Prime, that can you look into that and find out how much that'll cost? If
It
anything.
would. I thought it would be free. It'll be free.
Okay. You think it's still free? Okay. No, I was like I said, it was free, but I haven't I haven't had Prime in 35, 40 years. So yeah, it's a little different back in those days. Anyway, Miss yes, ma'am, Miss Johnson.
I wanted to, if it's possible, I mean, if I have to eat the cost, I will, but I would prefer my daughter not be on Prime because it's difficult for me to get on post. Savannah does not have an
Okay,
ID.
all right.
Okay,
Never
it's
mind
just
then.
easier.
Okay, I'm just saying it covers a lot more. And it's a lot. And okay, well, all right. You want to keep the standard? That's good. Never mind. If that's it, but all right. Thank you. All right, then we'll keep it where it is. All right. Any other witnesses at this time, Mr. Welch?
No other witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, then. Uh, Dr. Gaunt, any other witnesses you wish to call, sir, or anybody else you need to call either party back on recalls? Your direct witness.
Not at this time, Your Honor. Negative, Your Honor, not at this time.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Johnson, the only thing I need to confirm, sir, the mom testified that your usual summer package is only somewhere between 1 to 2 weeks instead of the 42 days in the summer. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Okay. And I'll let you tell. Is there a reason for that, sir? Why you're not in? You're entitled to 42. Is there a reason you're not doing the entire time, sir?
I was denied access or longer than that. My daughter doesn't want to stay any longer than that. I don't know why, but I would practice the 42 days if that was without frustrating Lisa. If I get her for less than two, if I get her for 2 weeks, it's hard to put her in camp, right? Like just for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if I can get her for, if she'd allowed me to get her for more, I can set up camp ahead of time, and that wouldn't be a problem.
Well, I'll let you two work that out, but the court order says 42, sir. So y'all, that's something y'all may need to speak about separately and apart, or if both of you have lawyers, let your lawyers figure that one out.
Copy.
All right, then. So at this time, I'll go ahead and I know what you're asking for, sir. I know what mom's asking for, but I'll go ahead and let the lawyers make a closing statement. I'll start with Dr. Gaunt, and then I'll go to the state, and then, sir, after both the lawyers have made their closing statement to the court, what they want me to do, I'll give you the opportunity to make a closing statement also. Thank you.
Can reopen briefly just for a moment to testify to attorney's fees.
All right. I'm sorry. I'll let you go ahead and reopen at this time, sir, and raise
Just
your
for
right
that.
hand, please. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you're going to give here today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth will help you.
No, but I do under penalty of perjury.
Same deal. Good enough. You may proceed with your recitation. Thank you.
Apologize, Your Honor, I hadn't been placed under oath before for this matter, but so be it. Good afternoon.
Well, Judge Black did me years ago, and when Judge Black did something, yeah, it stuck. So yeah.
I'm familiar with Judge Black. Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Anjay Gaunt. I'm the managing attorney and the senior attorney at the Pritchard office. I've been licensed in Texas for 15 plus years. I have been a candidate for board certification. I have been a member of the State Bar Crime Victims Committee. I am a licensed mediator. I'm licensed in Texas and multiple federal jurisdictions, including before the United States Supreme Court. My office was retained on this matter. The retainer fee was $4,500 to prosecute this matter. My hourly fee is usually $500 an hour. I think that is, I believe that is appropriate for an attorney of my experience in this area. My practice is family law. As the court is aware, I'm no longer doing criminal defense. But again, Ms. Johnson retained my office. As she illuminated a moment ago, this is really guideline child support, and it is now turned into from a CSRP into a contested hearing. And because of that, and because she's had to hire us to defend or prosecute this matter and any other matters that may come down, I do feel that awarding those attorney's fees are appropriate and in the best interest of the child. That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for allowing me to reopen.
All right, thank you very much. All right, at this time, I'll go ahead and let the lawyers do their closing. So at this time, you're up for your closing, then, Mr. Gaunt, then I'll let, like I say, Mr. Welch, and then Mr. Johnson. If you wish to make a closing statement or a closing request, sir, you can do so. So I'll start again. You may proceed.
Judge, again, just, I certainly understand that, this gentleman is off and has a shore duty on the other side of the country. But again, this is something he signed up for. He signed up for it. He was in it at the time of the relationship. He's stayed in. There is no change in his circumstance because of this. He's known about these travel expenses when he can exercise them. There's been no independent testimony that his visitation has ever been confined or restricted for any reason. And quite frankly, in 15 years of doing these kinds of cases, I've never heard of a custodial parent being as accommodating as both parties agree that my client has been. I know the court is contemplating doing a deviation, but the reality is that I don't think it's appropriate, and not because the man doesn't exercise as much visitation as he might want to or like to, but simply because, again, whatever deviation you would do, the reality is, number one, it would probably come back in the form of another court matter. But he's incentivized by the military. We pay for that, for him to have BAH and have additional pay. And these are things that he's done. And when you join the military or join the foreign service or anything that involves this kind of thing, travel happens. And so again, I think my client has been more than accommodating, and has already saved him money and finances by, driving out there or flying out there or letting him stay in her home. I mean, that's just unheard of. And so we just don't think that whatever offset the court is going to make in this matter off of guideline is appropriate or is warranted at this time. Thanks, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Welch.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, state understands that both parties agree that the court would find and confirm that Mr. Johnson has paid ahead in the amount of $325 as of January 13, 2025, and that I think they're fine with that amount being carried forward and applied to Mr. Johnson's future obligations in this case. The parties agree to Mr. Johnson providing the health insurance for Savannah through TRICARE at an actual cost of zero. And then the dental insurance through TRICARE as well at an actual cost, though, of $12.50. I believe the parties agreed to the baseline current child support amount being $966, even if they disagree as to whether or not there should be a variance. And they agreed to that whatever amount of current child support starting first day of February 2025. Parties agreed to court costs being waived due to his military service. No non-disclosure, Your Honor. As for attorney's fees, Your Honor, state was unaware of any request for attorney's fees or motion for continuance. State has no opinion on the attorney's fees other than that the state would oppose them being sought against us. I can bring up the Texas.
We are not seeking them
okay. I don't think that was the case, but yeah.
Against the defendant, Attorney General.
In that case, like I said, Your Honor, state has no interest in that, no opinion, and defers to the court for you on that matter, and also the dispute for the travel expenses. And that's it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. I would call you by your rank, but I know it never came up. So, is it Chief Petty Officer or Petty Officer? What's your rank, sir?
Petty Officer, second class.
Okay, Petty Officer Johnson, you're up, sir. Anything you want to tell the court?
Yes. So, I don't mind paying my fair share of child support. That's never been the problem. But I do want to make it known that I didn't get a lawyer because I know the fees, and I'm here, and I think that I should not be accountable for Lisa's choice in getting attorney fee, me paying attorney fees for Lisa when she got the attorney out of choice. And I don't think that just my time in the service as a Navy should be penalized because of it. Just because I knew my responsibility signing up, that I would be away, and the fact that I am away and I did what I can, and being denied that access isn't always.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to that. There is no testimony or evidence that anybody was denied anything. So I realize it's an argument, but I'm sorry.
Okay, there have been things. Okay, there was no correct. I will sustain that, Mr. Johnson. There was nothing mentioned about denial. I understand there have been different circumstances, and you may be using that terminology for those circumstances, but it's the incorrect terminology for this matter at this time. But I get what you're asking me for, sir. You may proceed at this point with anything else you want to ask the court. Thank you.
I just asked the court not to make me responsible for Lisa's court fees.
Okay.
And I just ask that a deviation would really be helpful. It's really expensive to live in Maryland.
Okay, then I'm not even going. I got family that live on the Chesapeake, and yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, they live right on the water, so yeah, it's. I wish I owned that property instead of them, but it is what it is. Anyway, I'll go ahead at this time, and guys, I was almost ready to rule on this one, but everybody said a couple of things that now forced me to go back and look at the pleadings, because the state does certain things a certain way that general practitioners like Dr. Gunn and when I did it myself, they have their own way of doing things, and they have their own pleadings that are a little different. So I'm going to go back and look at all the pleadings that everybody's filed in this matter, look at all the service of citation that everybody did or waivers of service, and I'll look at what the math is and what the math was and what the math's going to be. Because my norm, and both lawyers will tell you it's my norm that when someone actually does their visitation and they have to do travel expenses, I do them. But you guys have thrown a couple of curveballs at me, and I've been over the years. My brother's always been a fastball hitter, and I've always been able to hit curves. But y'all threw me a couple of curves, and I'm gonna take a look at, because again, the visitation is not as long as possible. Dad comes down and sometimes stays with mom, but that doesn't seem to appear to happen lately. And there are a couple other things that just a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and look at all the pleadings and do everything like that. And I'm going to go ahead and nobody show up. Nobody, lawyers don't have to show up. Ma'am, you don't have to show up. But I'm going to go ahead and reset this for a ruling. We have a regular docket this Thursday.
We do, Your Honor. We have a yeah,
I
on the
wasn't sure
16th.
if that's a special setting docket or a regular docket for Zoom this Thursday. And I can't get Zoom to come back up because I closed it down and doesn't like that.
Yes, we have a regular docket on January 16th, Your Honor. There's a judge slot for you. But state would have no issue if you wanted to do a different date for that.
No, I want to do it because I don't want to forget about it, because I'm gonna leave this right up here, and I've got myself a new ruling notebook sitting here right on the bench where I can go ahead and write down, I got to make this ruling and the time I'm going to make it, and then I'll make a reminder on an Outlook, and I'll make the ruling on all aspects of this matter. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and keep TRICARE as it is. I'm going to go ahead and find the fathers in future paid by the amount he is. But I'm going to go ahead and make the ruling on attorney fees and whether or not I'm going to do the deviation. And I'm going to see whether or not the court has the authority at this time to go ahead and order the long distance visitation package that is the norm under the Texas practice manual for people who live distances away, about setting up. I think Dad said he was doing. I think he said a copy. But I want to make sure he did. But the standard practice manual sets up visitation for kids who can fly accompanied by just airline personnel, but there's a specific procedure for that. But I'm not sure, based on what the state has filed here today, I can do that or just have to go with what I've got. So again, I'm gonna look at everything and see what I got, what I can do one way or the other, and I'll make the ruling on the items as everybody specifically. But again, I'll go ahead and reset this matter. Well, then, as soon as we're through with the 9 o'clock docket call on Thursday, I'll make that ruling on the record, and hopefully I'll have it ready before then, and I'll get it out in an email to counsel and since Mr. Johnson is pro se, I'll have the state forward a copy of that, and you'll need to confirm his email, Mr. Welch. All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Everybody, thank you very much. And of course, I waive court costs due to military service, and Dr. Gunn had me looking up. I didn't. I thought the Naval Air Station in Dallas had been decommissioned, and man, it's been conditioned. It was decommissioned 25 years ago. That's your
it's a combined services. Judge, if I may just have just one minor point, and I apologize.
Okay.
I know we're still on the record. I would ask court to take judicial notice of the file, and since it's been brought up in argument and the court seems to be addressing it, I would respectfully urge, if Mr. Johnson is married and he's living out there in Maryland and his spouse is receiving, if they are receiving BAH and so forth, I would make the deemed income argument that they as a couple are being more than compensated for living out in Maryland. I'm sure they're getting locality pay, and I'm sure if they're near the Pentagon district or whatnot, it's quite significant. And now granted that figures into his child support, but again,
It is, and I don't look at, we obviously don't look at spouses, on the specific circumstances, but yeah. But of course, I'm gonna,
you have the
but
authority to do it, so I'm just
I'm
making a
looking at how
statement.
much
There
the
we
child
go.
support's going up and looking at everything else.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why I say this one's a little different. I get these all the time, but this one has a couple of provisions that I need to, like I say, sit here and do a little math on myself. So anyway, anything else then, sir?
No, I just needed to put that on the record about the deemed income just for the purposes of the Court of Appeals. But thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything, Mr. Johnson, anything else, sir? I know that's like mumbo jumbo, but I got what you're asking for, sir, and obviously I'm going to rule on it. Thank you. Anything else?
I just want to be, am I going to be able to be clear with the Mr. Welch about what's going on later? Because I was kind of, you're talking kind of fast. I kind of missed what was going on.
All right, I'm resetting this matter to rule on all these items, sir, and do it formally this coming Thursday at 9 after I have a chance to go over the file.
Okay, I need to appear for that?
No, nobody needs to appear. No, I'm just doing this, and hopefully, like I say, I'll be able to get it out in the email. And if we get through, and I know we're not gonna get through here early today, it's just not gonna happen. So I was hoping, but if I get through early enough tomorrow on the enforcement docket, I'll try to get it out in the email before I get out of here tomorrow evening. All right.
Okay.
But otherwise,
Thank you, Your
I'll
Honor.
do the ruling specifically on Thursday morning after docket call.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, and like I say, no one has to appear for that. All right, thank you everybody very much, and we're off the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody, your excuse. Thank you.
All right then. Your Honor, do you want to reset? Have a good day, Mr. Gaunt. Do you want to reset
you need
order?
something?
Oh, I just wanted, Your Honor, do you want me to do a reset order for this or?
Okay, well, I've got a note here, but if you want to do it, I'll leave that up to your standards, okay? Because again, y'all do things a little differently, all right? And even after years of living with y'all, I know y'all still do things.
I don't think it's needed, Your Honor.
I do not read a reset order. I do not read a reset order, okay?
Yes, Your Honor. And all right. And I've already confirmed everyone's contact information. So so Mr. Johnson, when he does send it to me, I will forward it to you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, just a second. I got to write this one up on my tablet, and I'll be right with you guys. Thank you. In fact, I'm going to take a 15-minute break, and I'll be right back. Thank you.
Co-parenting across state lines was never going to be easy, but this case takes the challenge to new heights, literally. With flights, fees, and missed visits adding to the mix, it's clear that long-distance parenting comes at a steep price. But what do you think? Should travel costs be a factor in child support? Or is this just the deal when you parent from afar? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more gripping courtroom moments. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.